I have an offer for you. Give me $1 billion and I'll kill the DCEU before it claims any more good actors or ruins any more good stories. I'm up for it, and no one will know you helped me. But if you aren't feeling that generous, then maybe I can persuade you to go to patreon.com/evacstation. For less than the cost of weaponizing robots for planetary exploration, you can support our weird little show. And all we really want is just to put a smile on your face. Again, that's patreon.com/evacstation. Now on to the show. I love it when our secret identities get revealed. It means we can talk openly in crowded offices about our extracurricular activities, such as crime fighting and podcasting. We are the Medders of Steel. I've got the Dark Nelson with me today.
Yeah, buddy.
And I'm your host, Aaron Joker Waseska.
Yeah, I like it.
That J's got to stand for something. I figured, why not?
It's a good call.
So welcome to our Part B, Side B of the Batman-Superman week, which is going to be about maybe one of my favorite films that we'll be discussing, Batman-Superman, World's Finest.
World's Finest.
Which, spoilers, we're going to be positive about this one.
It is the superior Batman versus Superman.
Before we discuss it too deeply, though, I've got some links to throw your way down in the comments or in the description below. Patreon, YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, whatever platform you wish to follow us on. If you leave us reviews, they'll help us get more search engine more search results in iTunes and all the other platforms, which would be very helpful for us. Get us more views, more people watching, maybe more fan mail and stuff. And Ryan, if we get more fan mail, where can they send it to?
They can send it to, oh my god, my childhood is exploding at gmail. I'm sorry, I meant, excuse me, that is evacstation at gmail.com.
Well, I mean, a lot of things were exploding, so...
I mean, it's like my childhood was directed by Zack Snyder. Hey!
So, before we get too much further, though, before we get to the movie, I do want to bring up the question of the week. So, rather than do a what you watching for this episode, we do a question of the week. And, gentlemen, since we just talked about a live-action Batman-Superman movie, and we're going to be talking about a animated one here, what villain team-up do you want to see Batman and Superman take on in a live-action film?
Ooh. That's good.
I have thought about this for a while. And I think a Lex Luthor and Joker's been done. So I want to step away from that. I think you could actually get a lot of mileage out of Lex Luthor and Mr. Freeze. Because Mr. Freeze could be like a disgruntled employee of Lex Luthor who has an accident. Lex Luthor refuses to help him with his, treatments and whatnot. So he goes on a berserk rampage. And hey, his labs were located in Gotham. And Bruce has to go figure out why the hell this happened and traces it back to Luthor having tampered with some shit. And having to encounter Superman. You could have a whole bunch of fun stuff with that.
That'd be fun. I'd be down for that.
Okay.
Also, I just want to get a good Mr. Freeze on film.
Yeah. Not Arnold. Time to put you on the ice. Yeah. We don't need any
what
of that.
killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Oh, it's so bad. I kind of like watching it. Hate watching that movie. Like,
it's good for a bad time.
It's good for a bad. No, yeah. What's the best word for that? It's a really, really good bad movie. Mm-hmm. You just giggle the whole time. Yeah.
So my team up that I would put out I would have Batman and Superman against the Riddler and I can never fucking pronounce this correctly. Mr. Mixolydic, like the fucking
Mxyzptlk?
Yeah, Mxyzptlk. Yeah, Mr.
Yeah, that's how you say it, right? Yeah.
Fucking whatever. Y'all know his name.
Fifth Dimension.
The fifth dimension.
Dorf or whatever.
Trickster guy.
Trickster, yeah.
Yeah.
He's fun. I would love to see that.
You'd have Superman having to deal with magic. You'd give Batman a chance to really show off his fucking intellect because he'd have to be trying to outthink this fifth dimensional being. Yeah.
You know, there's actually a storyline where Joker becomes Emperor of the Universe because of Mr. Mxyzptlk. So Riddler getting that would actually be very interesting. That'd be something that hasn't been done, I don't think, before. Which, yeah, bring it on. I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I would like to see Brainiac as kind of the brains behind the operation, and then either somebody like Clayface, because I would love to see that with yeah, I think that's the combo. It's a weird combo, but I kind of want to see it.
I mean, I think DC's due for a weird combo.
Yeah. But I've always wanted to see Clayface in live action with today's technology, so
they could do it. I mean, back in 2007, I mean, as bad as the movie was, Sandman in Spider-Man 3 looked damn good.
Oh yeah, that was probably one of the highlights was when he became Sandman. I would say.
I think Clayface is not far from possible. I think it's very doable.
I mean, we'll probably see some real interesting graphics along those lines with the new Spider-Man film coming out.
Yeah, we did talk about that a little bit in a previous episode, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I injected Marvel in it. My bad.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
That's okay. You know I love Spider-Man, so yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see how that turns out. And honestly, any movie that can push the boundaries of what CGI can do and make it look good and fit in the scene, I'm all for.
Yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, let's dive into the what you call it this week, the notes here. This week, or I guess today, in this week of the Batman Superman week in our Crisis of Infinite Films, we're tackling the film that brought two animated shows together in the 90s, a 3-part series called World's Finest, featuring Batman and Superman. I mean, it's giving away in the title. Directed by Toshihiko Masuda and written by Paul Dini, love that man, and Alan Burnett, as part of the legendary Bruce Timm animated universe.
Yes! It's my childhood right there, guys.
You say that, but you haven't watched the Justice League cartoon. You don't even know.
Man,
you don't even know. Speaking of which, this would eventually build into the very well-regarded Justice League and Justice League Unlimited TV shows. Fake fan.
Good stuff.
Fake fan.
Shut up.
No box office numbers because obviously it's a TV movie. You don't have box office numbers there. I should probably look and see if there was ratings for that, but I've had a hard time looking for those. The voice cast has legends, all the legends themselves. All the heroes are here today. We have Clancy Brown, Arlene Sorkin, Dana Delaney, Tim Daly, or is it Tim Daly?
Daly.
It's Tim Daly.
Tim Daly?
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin Conroy, and the only
My
Jedi
boy.
trying to put a smile on your face today, Mark Hamill.
Yes.
The man.
You know, I found out Mark Hamill voiced Joker when I was a kid. I looked up the voice cast for Spider-Man, the animated series, because I thought to myself, the laugh of the Hobgoblin sounds suspiciously similar to Joker. And I'm like, I want to see if it's the same dude. And I found out it was Mark Hamill of all people. I'm like, holy shit, Luke Skywalker's trying to murder Spider-Man.
Yes, it was. He was damn good in that role, too.
He's good in everything he does.
I mean, honestly, I'm so glad he found his way to voice acting after Star Wars. I'm so glad he did.
He also did not only the live-action version of the Trickster for the Flash TV show in the 90s and currently, but also on Justice League, they had a Flash-centric episode where he voiced the Trickster as well.
Oh my god. Yeah, like any excuse to get Mark Hamill on your project, please just do it. Just do it.
And of course, he's also one of the main villains of my favorite series, Last Airbender, where he plays Fire Lord Ozai.
Oh yeah, he does, doesn't he?
God, he does.
Holy crap!
He plays some of the best villains. It's scary.
Oh man. He really did that? Last Airbender? That was him?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
If you
I honestly didn't know that.
If you go back and play it and you hear his laugh, you can hear the Joker laugh in there a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, he does all these different voices, but let's be fair here. They all have a little bit of similarity to one another.
That's true. Man, I'm going to have to rewatch now.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
I mean, another excuse to rewatch, I guess.
Excuse. I looked on a couple different sites, and there were no, fun facts for this, unfortunately, which sucks. This is, one of the best things committed to film for Batman and Superman, so shame on the universe.
Fun fact, I had a blast watching this goddamn movie.
Oh, yeah. For sure, man.
Yeah, so these 3 episodes are actually part of the Superman animated series, but it's the first time it crossed over in the series, and it led to Batman's show getting a reboot, and then shortly after that you got the Justice League cartoon, so this is really the turning point for the entire animated franchise, I think, and it worked. It was really good.
Yes. Yeah, the new Batman adventures basically spun out of this, where
you have Nightwing and Batgirl.
Nightwing and so it was like
Drake,
the future version of them. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It was always weird they skipped over Jason Todd, but that series really couldn't do Jason Todd probably.
Yeah, no. I mean, Jason Todd gets into some dark shit.
Yeah. You can't really do that because they never really had guns on that show and stuff.
That's rough. That's hard to do, guys.
It's fun going back to some of the behind the scenes stuff for that show too, because you'll have stuff like they're talking about how they make Joker a threat, because you can't make him kill people because it's a kid's show, but you still have to make him creepy and threatening. So what they settled on was making his victims smile and laugh in weird poses, and I'm like, that is actually more horrifying than the guns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they look creepy, man. When they would basically laugh themselves to death.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't say they died, but they did.
Yeah.
The scene where Batman is looking at the guy who was running the jewelry store, and they're like, we still don't know who did this. And he's the guy is literally laughing himself, laughing all over the place. He says, of course we do. He's telling us who did this to him, and it just cuts to him maniacally laughing. I'm like, that's amazing, guys. That's it. That you've hit it. Yeah, that's him.
And what's really interesting too is the style of these two shows, Batman and Superman's separate shows. They have the same animation basics, but they definitely color and shade and do everything differently. Batman shows are definitely more dark in tone.
Darker, yeah.
And
Metropolis is very light.
Colorful.
I noticed that watching that this time.
And it's such a stark difference, but they blend seamlessly well here, and it's so odd to think that they could have done that.
Oh man, we're gonna get into it deep. We're gonna get into it after you really hit the synopsis. But I mean, this is this way. The when I saw this, I feel it perfectly characterized the differences in the characters and brought them together without making them different than their core values. You saw how dark Batman was without making him too fucking dark. You saw
he wasn't killing people.
Right, he wasn't fucking killing people.
Yeah.
You saw Superman getting to be the pillar of hope and justice and all that good stuff, and still get to see him be pissed. But you didn't have him stray too far from the light. You got to see both characters as they are true to their core, and you got to see their philosophies kind of intermingling. And I'm getting ahead of myself. It was really good. My initial thoughts is that it's really good. Glad we got to see it.
Me too.
Well, I've got actually, we should probably do the initial thoughts, but I guess we kind of broke those down with our little gushing here. Do you want to move on to synopsis? Yeah. We're going to do a quick little byline for initial thoughts here.
I said everything I had to say about it.
No, it was like Ryan was saying, it was just such a fun trip down memory lane, and it made you remember after watching what trash the Batman Superman Dawn of Justice was. It made you remember why you love these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, especially for me, you know, I'm 32 going on 33. I grew up with Batman and the animated series. I hear Kevin Conroy in my head. You know, I would when I was reading comics. I would hear Mark Hamill's the Joker.
Oh yeah, no, always.
Always. And even the Superman animated series, like Tim Daly or George Newbern, who did the Justice League voice, like they have similar voices. Like it ties into why you love comics, and that was why I was very excited. And the storyline's great. Like Aaron and you and I have talked about before, like Paul Dini's a genius with this stuff. Mm-hmm. And
I mean, this is the man that gave
this
us
is
Harley
what
Quinn.
Batman Superman should have been. Like, hands down. Like,
Yep.
Well, like I said, this is the man that gave us Harley Quinn, and look how popular
Yeah.
she is now. Like, this guy knows what he's doing.
Margaret. Yeah, like she's basically carrying the DC universe now, with Margaret Robbie being in like 14 movies or whatever asinine thing they have coming up with Birds of Prey and all the other stuff. So.
I've actually got my fingers crossed on Birds of Prey because
Yeah.
Margot Robbie fucking killed the role of Harley Quinn, and if
don't
they
get me
get
wrong,
everybody with that,
very excited. Very excited, but
We'll discuss it more in the Wonder Woman episode, Ryan, but I do think that DC, realizing what they have, are making a general push towards more female-centric heroes with Wonder Woman and Harley Quinn.
Which is smart. I think it's smart.
It's
Oh,
very
it is.
smart.
It's different, and it stands out, and if they can continue making things as good as Wonder Woman and as good as Harley Quinn, it'll be successful. But we'll
Honestly,
Absolutely.
Honestly, right? Like in that one, and I know we'll get deeper into it in later podcasts, but that's actually one of the very few areas that they can overtake Marvel if they're
100%.
good. Like because Marvel, for all the good that it's done, they haven't
They're late
really
to the
given.
party.
They're late to the party on female superheroes.
Yep.
We're gonna see Captain Marvel kill the game in like 2 months, and that's gonna be amazing. But they already have their foot in the door with Wonder Woman. If they can keep putting out female-led superhero movies that are that quality, man, they'll run it. They'll run the game on that front.
Mm-hmm.
Which is smart. They should.
But
Because they're not very good at Batman and Superman.
We will. Let's hit this synopsis so we can
Yeah,
go deeper.
hammer it out.
All right. Joker, tight on money, steals a chunk of kryptonite and proposes a deal to Lex Luthor. Give me $1 billion and I'll kill Superman. Luthor agrees, and the plot is set in motion. Batman follows Joker to Metropolis under the guise of a business deal with Luthor, which is legitimate business, let's be fair. There he meets Lois Lane, and they become something of an item, which is comical considering she was/is Superman's main squeeze.
Playboy Bruce Wayne was a delight to see.
Suave. I love it.
In trying to find the Joker, Batman encounters Superman, who disagrees with Batman's methods. They have something of a bit of a tussle, but both find out one another's identities through the use of their powers and/or skills. Stalemate, Mr. Wayne.
Oh, so great.
Lois is kidnapped by Joker as bait to kill Superman, and the trap almost works with Superman dying on the floor. But Batman finds the hideout. Through their combined efforts, they escape Joker's trap and fail to apprehend the clown. Joker and Harley are rewarded for their failure with a rain of bullets. Joker pleads for one more chance, and Luthor decides he gets it. When Superman hears, literally, that Luthor may be involved with the Joker, Bruce decides to investigate this matter personally. Bruce cuts off his deal with LexCorp because Luthor wants to turn their project into a military weapon, and Brucey don't like guns.
Dun, dun, dun! Sorry.
He then visits Lex as Batman to get the details on his deal with Joker. Lex realizes Batman is more of a problem than he originally thought, not being just a guy in his underwear. So he sends one of his weaponized drones to attack. But it fails, and now there's evidence linking Lex to Joker. Time to clean up some loose ends. However, Joker turns the tables, kidnapping Lex and hijacking his weird super jet thing. Whatever. He decides to punish Lex.
The wing.
He decides to punish Lex by destroying everything he's built, meaning most of Metropolis. Superman and Batman must work together to stop the Joker, save Luthor and Harley, and protect what they can of Metropolis. Luthor decides to hide his connections to the case. Harley returns to Arkham, and Joker has seemingly died in the explosion, but probably not because, well, plot armor. Batman returns to Gotham, having to break it off with Lois because she just can't deal with Bruce's nighttime antics. because she found out about the identity. I didn't mention it earlier, but she does. Tune in next time when our heroes reunite to fight the White Martians in Justice League, the animated series.
Hell yeah.
That's such a good pilot, too.
Yes, it is. Very, very, very much
John Jones! I want him on the big screen, damn it!
Yeah, I do, too. Martian Manhunter gets a bad rap, man. He's
just
a
as strong as
badass.
Superman.
Hey, we
he's
see
so cool.
We see a little bit of John Jones in Supergirl.
That's true.
I think he's done pretty
needs
well.
To be in the movies, man.
Yeah, he does. He does need to be in the movies. They relegate him to a kind of like a father figure role in Supergirl, but still, he's really good. He's very good. I highly recommend watching it for that.
No, I actually haven't seen Supergirl, Ryan. I know we're getting way off topic already.
I know!
But is it worth my time? Because I have never seen it. I've heard mixed things about it. I want to know what your thoughts
I will say the first season is rocky, but I've never seen a show improve so quickly. Like the first episode is god awful. The second episode is bad. The third episode they start kind of finding their feet. The fourth episode actually really starts picking up, and by episode 5 or 6, you're actually really into it, and it just keeps getting better.
Okay. I'll add it to my docket because it is definitely something I want to check out at some point.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, back to the topic at hand. So, Batman and Superman, world's finest, gentlemen. Now that we've gone through all that, what do y'all think?
Oh my god! To be quite honest, to be like quite honest, I did not remember that there was a Superman animated series until I heard the theme song, and my childhood literally punched me in the face. Like, don't you remember this shit? And it was like I was 8 all over again. It was
it's so good.
It felt like I was watching Saturday morning cartoons, like right here, and I'm fucking 28 years old. I was like, yes.
And the Superman animated series was actually really, really good.
Yeah, it was. I remember watching it. Like, I remember this shit. It was really good.
Because they had a lot of his... Like, his Rogues Gallery doesn't compare to, like Batman or whatever, but they had Brainiac. They had Lex Luthor with Clancy Brown, who's the man, and Toyman, and, Mr. Mxyzptlk, and, all these guys. Like, and they did... I mean, your boy, Mr. Mxyzptlk, is actually voiced by Gilbert Godfrey.
Oh
it's
my God.
Awesome.
That makes sense, too. I could see that.
Yeah, and it's so funny, and it's a great episode. You should watch the ones with him in it.
I want to imitate Gilbert Godfrey, but goddamn, my voice can't take it. I'm not going to try.
Yeah. It's okay. Like, and kind of what I talked about before, Aaron, with the voice cast, like, this brings me back to growing up with this, and Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, Clancy Brown, who I still think is Lex Luthor because the way he uses his voice, you respect when he talks, but he has that assholeness to him. I don't know how to explain that, but where
it's a level
he's
of
arrogant,
but it's
arrogant.
He has the charisma to back up everything that he says. Like, it's really good.
That's who Lex Luthor is, and that's like what I was trying to say.
He is a charismatic asshole. Yeah. That is exactly who Lex Luthor is.
Oh, so true.
Well, okay,
so true.
Let's clarify. Tony Stark is also a charismatic asshole, but the two are very different on how they do it.
Very true.
Oh, very true. Very true.
Yeah, Tony is definitely a more upbeat, optimistic, hey, I'm going to fix all the world's problems, whereas Luthor's like, all the world's problems are irrelevant because I have made them irrelevant.
Exactly. We have Arlene Sorkin, who is the original Harley Quinn voice.
Did you know she opted to not do the sequels
there's been
for
imitators.
the Arkham games? When after she did the first one, I think. And I'm like, why would you not do it? This is money
so
in the
Tara
bank
Strong
right
did it. Yep. Yeah. I mean, Tara Strong does a good job,
but
she's really
I don't
good,
know why. I mean, come on, Arlene, come on.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the voice cast killed it. It's such a good overall plot. Like, you understand the motivations from everybody. What the Joker's looking for, because he doesn't have the money. He knows Lex Luthor wants to kill Superman. He finds this, kryptonite dragon, which looks badass. There's a reason for Bruce to go to Metropolis. Like, it just all makes sense. It's like, I watched this after Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and I was just shaking my head a little time. I'm like, this is a goddamn cartoon movie, and it makes 1,000 times more sense than what I just watched.
Well,
can we also talk about how they gave Superman an excuse to really use his powers without destroying the entire fucking city?
Yes.
Honest to God, give him some robots to fight. It will be a good fight, and there will be less collateral damage. And also, you give Batman some really cool shit to do, because on top of being super acrobatic ninja, he can also take down the robots and can fucking outthink people and shit. God, Batman! So good.
Well, to go off your point, Robbie, that you brought up real quick before I lose track of it, I think the reason this series, this movie, had a good plot to follow and was very easy to follow. And I'm not going to give them credit because obviously I think the show came out first, but it follows the same kind of writing style as South Park does. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but South Park, the writers have discussed in behind the scenes. They don't write their shows willy-nilly. They actually have a very specific method where it's this happens, but then this, so that happens. It's a very train of logic. Something has to happen, but then something has to counter it, and so there has to be something to resolve it. And it's a very good way to set up a show over and over again without anything, because it's either that or it's this and then this and then this, and it just feels like it just never ends, it never stops. And I think this film really did a good job doing that versus what Dawn of Justice did, because you had a very clear logic here. Joker needs money, so he gets to offer to kill Superman, but it doesn't work out. So then he tries Plan B, and so on and so forth. Whereas Dawn of Justice, it feels more like this happens, and then this happens, and this happens, and then this happens, and it's like, okay, we get it. Can we end it now?
It's just too much shit. Yeah.
And I think that it makes for a more dynamic story to boot.
It does. It feels like the plot is constantly in motion as opposed to just a bunch of things keep getting added to the plot. The plot is advancing as opposed to the plot is getting muddled up in a bunch of beats that you just added because fuck it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But yeah, I think them fighting big robots, a little cliche for the cartoons, but because it's something that all the kids' cartoons did at the time. But they did it really good here, though. They did it really good.
They did.
No, they did. And
it fit in the plot because it was tied to the business deal between Lex and Batman.
Yeah.
There was a legitimate reason for Batman to be there, and it made sense.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say, is that they actually tied it back to why Bruce was there, which I thought they did a really good job of. One of my favorite parts of this whole movie is... So when Batman and Superman are really first seeing each other, and Superman looks under his mask to figure out it's, but then later Batman tracks him. Oh, that's so badass! And he looks out of his apartment, and he sees Batman, and Batman basically just winks at him and runs off.
He's fucking touche, Bruce.
That was so great.
I actually sold this movie to Amanda on this scene. So I approached her when we were doing this series. I said, "Hey, I want you to watch this with me because there's a scene here that I think that'll help explain why I don't like Batman versus Superman." And it's that scene in particular. And the reason why is very simple. In the Batman versus Superman movie, when and how does Superman learn about who Batman is, and vice versa?
Yep.
The answer is obvious. The answer is simple. Luthor kind of just tells Superman, and then Batman just kind of is told later on, but we don't see that either. And that's not an exciting way to reveal that. In this iteration, you see Superman use his powers to find out himself, and you see Batman use his skills to find out himself. It's more interesting and more dynamic that way. They know how to write this shit.
Oh my god. But just, Batman just getting won over, because Superman, I feel like in this whole movie, Superman is kind of trying to puff out his chest because
he's stepping in on his girl, man.
Bruce stepping in on his girl and stuff, and then have Batman do shit like that where he's just like, "Oh, got you." Oh, Oh man, it's so great. Like,
Wow, and like
I just love the dynamic.
It makes Superman's character deeper because while you already have the fucking Man of Steel who will fucking save the day every time, you also get to see a bit of that, like that Kansas City farm boy come out when he's trying to like actively like press on you a little bit because you're stepping up to his girl. Like you get to see another shade of Clark Kent bleed through into Superman. And that makes him a more interesting character as opposed to just, I'm going to glare at you until your fucking body melts away. Like, you know, it makes him better it makes him more enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, because he gets jealous like the rest of us.
And I actually like to get a lot of screen time with Bruce and with Clark because I don't feel like you've got a lot of that in the... It's weird how much more this movie does in an hour of runtime versus a 3-hour runtime that feels like nothing happens.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, granted, it was 3 episodes, but that's 90 minutes as opposed to 3 hours. In literally half the time, they have developed these characters so much better.
Yeah.
I think it's because they weren't also trying to do. I think it's because they weren't also trying to set up the entire fucking Justice League in the movie. Sorry.
Well, you say that, but they still did though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they didn't put in a fucking YouTube clip of all the other Justice League members.
No, they didn't. But I mean, this was the groundwork for League, and that's all they needed was just this. They didn't have to build anything else because everyone's like, "Oh, this is cool," and then they just did it, and it's like, "Oh shit, you're doing this too? Okay."
Wait, who are these guys? Oh my god, they're awesome!
You think there's a version where somebody's made it where they add that Justice League clip in the middle or something? Because I'd watch the shit out of that, like on YouTube or something. That'd be so funny. Like Bruce gets handed this, and it shows Aquaman and Justice League, and
Bruce finds us Bruce finds us trolling through Luthor's DeviantArt account. And he sends a link for it to Superman. Like, hey, Clark, check out this shit. What a nerd.
This shit. Oh, it'd be so funny.
No. What happens is that Bruce goes back to Gotham, and then Amanda Waller is waiting in Wayne Manor and says, "I'd like to talk to you about the Justice League initiative."
Fuck off with your Amanda Waller bullshit.
What do you got against Amanda Waller, man?
So I've seen her in 2 live-action films, and I've seen her in the cartoons. Actually, cartoon movies, too. I don't think she's that compelling a character. I don't. In the live-action movies alone, she's done poorly. In the animated series, she's redeemable because of that one Batman Beyond episode.
Oh,
which is one of the best episodes.
Damn good episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But outside of that, though,
that shows Batman in a good light too.
Yeah, which is like, but outside of that, though, she is not a compelling character to me. But that Batman Beyond episode, if you have not seen anything, Ryan, fucking check that shit out. It's so good.
Epilogue, that's a good one.
No, I'll give you another. I'll give you one more live action thing that she's actually portrayed really, really interestingly in. She's actually in Arrow.
Oh, she's great in Arrow.
In the early seasons of Arrow, there is Amanda Waller, and she's actually done very, very well.
Totally agree.
Before Arrow became shit. It's just one of the really good parts of Amanda Waller.
Yep. All right. We're off topic. Let's get back to this movie.
All right.
Little bit.
Sorry.
Okay. So, the central conflict basically boils down to Joker comes to team up with Luthor, and Batman comes to chase him down, forcing the heroes to team up. Very simple setup, very simple situation. I like how it keeps it simple. Because, we're going to go on about this forever and ever, but BVS, it had a lot of baggage, a lot of, like, cumbersome moments. It's like, y'all could have just cut a bunch of stuff out and simplified this stuff, and I get you didn't want these 2 guys to get along at first. I get it. You didn't have to, I suppose, but even in this movie, the characters didn't get along at first. And it wasn't until... Well, at what point did it feel like they were actually becoming, like, actual friends and not just like, oh, hey, I'm here on business. We're not going to be buddies.
Well, I mean, when Lois was in trouble, when she was kidnapped by the Joker, and Batman came to save him and get him out of Joker's trap. I think that's kind of like when
that's
right?
when the ice starts to melt. Yeah.
Melt, right? Yeah, I would say that's kind of when.
And then it turns around, and Batman ends up getting saved by Superman, which also helps to melt the ice a little further. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, they did a good job getting these characters to warm up to each other through actions and through decent dialogue, and it wasn't just immediate. It was like a few things had to happen along the way to make it happen. And
it wasn't just Martha.
It was more like Lois, but still.
Yeah, but I mean. Oh, by the way, I love that they have Bruce just macking on Lois hard. Like
Playboy
awesome.
Bruce Wayne.
It's
not played up enough, but the man's alter ego, like he keeps a bevy of women like in and out, and that's like, but like it's an interesting facet of his character, and it's made more interesting when you realize that he doesn't really care about all of that, that it's honestly just to keep up the facade because his true face is the one the criminals fear. You know what I mean?
It's weird when you bring that up because if you look through the Batman filmography, there are not a lot of Batman movies, hardly any live action at least, where Batman, the following three things occur for Batman. One, he does serious detective work. Some of them skim that line a bit, but very few ever let him just do really cool, smart detective stuff. Two, very rarely is he ever a playboy. They kind of did it in the older movies. I don't know if it was the Tim Burton ones or the Schumacher ones, but there was a little in there, but not a lot. There really wasn't.
Schumacher kind of, I guess.
But not a lot.
They briefly touched on it in the Nolan ones,
where
they're having that dinner. But
I feel like the Playboy aspect and the detective aspect were played up in Nolan's films. I mean, the detective aspect more so in Dark Knight because he has to do a lot of
recreating of the
that was a bit of a stretch. I will give you this. It was very much a stretch, but he has to do some more detective work to really try to piece together exactly who the Joker is. And what's really cool is that he stretches to do that, and Joker still counteracts it, which is also really cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but they have him playing around. They have him playing around in the Nolan films. Hell, he takes the entire fucking Bolshoi ballet.
Oh, the ballet
troupe. Just out on a yacht because fucking I'm Bruce Wayne. We're having fun. And that also again that's in the Dark Knight.
Fair enough. Dark Knight is the one that stays truest to Batman, I suppose.
Yeah.
But you gotta admit though, the majority of them kind of veer away from that. It's kind of weird because that's such a core piece to his character.
Yeah. That's Batman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially detective.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so in Batman Begins, they focus on his origin and the fucking ninja aspect to him. Then in Dark Knight, they focus on the detective, his rivalry with the Joker and things like that. And then in Rises, just crazy shit happens.
I'll admit I am not a big fan of Rises, but
I still like it, but I definitely know it's the weakest of the trilogy, but I still had a great time with it.
I did too.
Just wait till we get to Batman month, Ryan. It'll happen someday.
I could watch that trilogy on repeat forever. It's so good. Those three movies are on my if I'm trapped on a deserted island list.
I like it.
Okay, so let's jump around here a little bit here. So, what other comparisons to the live action movie can we make that really help cement where we're sitting on this one?
I will jump back to what you were just talking about, as an answer to this question, because you mentioned the simplicity of this, and I think simplicity really lends to great subtle storytelling. We talked about this in the Shyamalan films a little while ago, and how his early work I thought his early work was really, really good because the storyline that he kept to was very simple. The premise was simple, and it allowed him to do really subtle things in telling a simple premise. In keeping the storyline simple here, you get to really explore great aspects of both characters. You get to allow the characters to be true to themselves, and without bogging the story down in like crazy minutia about the plot, you give the characters room to really be and exist in the story and really interact with themselves. So it gives him the room that you need to tell a true Batman versus Superman story, because the core of that isn't what is the crazy plot that brought these two together. It's how does the character of Batman clash with the character of Superman? How are they different? How are they similar? What brings them together at the end? And like by stripping away unnecessary plot bullshit, you really get to the meat of that interaction. Yeah.
But Ryan, how am I supposed to know if this is a Superman movie if they don't keep referencing how he's like Jesus every 5 minutes?
Oh my god, the lack of Jesus symbolism in this movie. I absolutely adored it. He was just a good old farm boy with superpowers that wanted to save the world. That's all he needs to be.
This is such a better version of Superman. It's not even.
It is.
For many people, it was their formative years, and this is the definitive Superman for them.
And like, it's not so much like he's like full on, Boy Scout, blah blah blah. Like,
he's complex.
He's still complex, but like, he is the American dream. He's just a good person that cares about every human. Like this alien that came to the world on this, spaceship, and he grew up in a small town, and he genuinely just wants to save everybody. Like, that's who Superman is. Doesn't mean that he's not still have like emotions, or maybe could possibly go down the wrong path. Like, they visit this actually in the Superman animated series where he gets brainwashed by Darkseid, which the Batman vs Superman was teasing at, kind of. So,
but Injustice, but no, fuck all that.
No, whatever the hell they were trying to do. But I don't know. It's just so much better, or it's just such a better way of showing Superman. And I just, especially this movie, like, this is the way that their relationship should be. Where, I don't know if you guys remember this, but when Batman saves Superman with the Joker trap with Lois, and what does he say to him? He goes, "Oh, I'm glad," or Superman says to Batman, I definitely needed you to help me out here," or something like that. And Batman's like, "Yeah, I know." Oh, it was such a great line. But like, it just shows like Batman still thinks he's smarter than Superman, even though this guy has superpowers. And I just like that you still have that tension, but they both still respect each other.
Yeah,
which you see towards the end of the movie. Yeah, and I mean, you see that in the Justice League cartoon. You see that in other variations of this character, or these characters, like what we talked about on the other podcast, Ryan, with the Superman Batman Public Enemies movie. Like, they give each other shit all the time, but they love and respect each other. And
yeah, it allows both of them to be actual characters as opposed to just like carbon copy cutouts of like, oh well, no, this is Batman. He's dark. He's brooding. He's a little bit brutal, but he stands for justice when all around him is bleak. And here's Superman, who's super duper boring and does everything right and perfect on his first try out. But like you get to show like their banter and how Batman, who's really, really good and everything he does is skill-based, can give people shit because they're just coasting by on superpowers. And he's like, yeah,
he's like,
dude,
I don't have any superpowers.
Yeah, I don't have any superpowers.
You still need my help.
I'm still gonna run this game. Like, I'm thinking of I don't know which animated movie it was, but I think it's like the original. It's like one of the original like New 52 Justice League movies where Green Lantern goes to Gotham and meets Batman for the first time. And
it's a war, I think. Yeah,
I think it's war, but where he's talking to him. And he's like, oh, well, yeah, this ring is the source of my power. Like, I have to use it to focus willpower and da-da-da-da-da. And then he looks, and Batman's got the ring in his hand just looking at it. And it's like, wait, how the hell did you steal it? And he's like, it's based on willpower. You weren't concentrating. Oh, fuck! It's so good! I'm like, that's Batman. That is him. He is here now.
Oh, man.
He's like, I'm only a human, but I could still beat each and every one of you. Let's go. Let's go.
I mean, isn't that what Justice League Doom was all about, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's based off the Tower of, is it Babylon? Is what they call it? Is the comic version of that, yeah. And he has a plan for every single one if they got out of control, basically.
Because it's fucking Batman. Of course he has these contingencies.
Yeah. He has all those plans, and it backfires and basically almost kills the Justice League. It's incredible. Incredible story.
Yeah, and of course at the end of it where they're all like, so what's the fucking plan if you go out of nuts? He's like, I have a plan. It's called the Justice League.
Yeah.
Of course. You guys will stop me.
Yeah, yeah.
That was a good line. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get a few of these other questions I have out of the way real quick before we get to the comparison here, or the full comparison.
Okay.
So this is a great pairing of the two characters. I think Batman and Superman is a classic two lead concept that should lend itself well to movies in the right hands, of course.
Yes.
So I guess my question for you guys is this then, and this could be from Marvel or DC. Whatever you want. What other pairing of superheroes would you like to see? Like, what other pairings do you think could not necessarily be this popular or this well known, but could play off in such a fun way that would make this that would be like almost as good as this?
Okay, hear me out. I'm gonna say something slightly controversial, and I'm gonna try and bring it back. Because I know early DC comic days, we saw Green Lantern and Green Arrow as a pair. I would love to see that, but I would love to see old school Oliver Queen in Arrow, like essentially like grimdark Batman.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern.
Ooh.
Hear me out though.
That's hard
Hear
sell.
me out
Hard
though.
sell.
Where's this going?
Not in terms of shitty movie qualities or CGI or anything like that. I want the lighthearted, jokey Hal Jordan that Ryan Reynolds brought out to play, and I want the grim, dark Oliver Queen, because in the comics their roles were reversed, and you had the Green Lantern as like the square-jawed, no-nonsense, do-good hero, and Green Lantern as the jokey guy who represented the opposite side and could really give him a different say. I think if you flip it and do it really, really well, that pairing could be really interesting.
That's good.
That's a very interesting idea. I wasn't knowing where you're going to go with that, and you swerved it, and I like it.
I got you. You just got to stay with me.
Just no CGI masks.
No CGI masks. None. Zero.
No, a real mask.
Robbie, where are you at in this one?
Well, I think where Ryan was going with this is very important, where you have kind of the square-jawed, hero, and then the one that kind of plays off of him, so to speak. I guess Superman, Batman technically isn't that, but the way that they talk to each other, it kind of is.
Yeah, so. It's in that vein. I don't think it's the extreme he's going for, but it's in that vein.
Yeah.
I kind of want, like, the Flash is one of them. Preferably the Wally West version that was in Justice League cartoon. That was the funny one.
I love that one.
Oh, yeah. Which I've always wondered why they never talked about Barry Allen in that cartoon.
They did kind of.
It was
skip him
after
for
Infinite
some
Crisis,
reason.
so he might have just been gone. And I always wanted him paired with Batman because Batman's my guy. Just because I feel like that version of the Flash would just give Batman a really just kind of get it in his way.
That would be kind of fun. I'd be down for that.
It would be fun, but like I think at the end of the day, Batman would kind of give him a smirk and make fun of him or something after they defeated who they were fighting or whoever. So that's the one I've always wanted.
I can just imagine a Wally West. I could just imagine a Wally West trained by Batman. Oh Jesus, that man would be terrifying. That would be terrifying.
Well, and here's the thing, Ryan. Wally West is so the Flash's powers allow him to read and learn and take in knowledge faster than any normal human.
Correct.
Of course.
Yeah.
He could outthink and outlearn Batman in an instant. It wouldn't be even a challenge. At the end of the day, Flash could become way better at Batman than Batman is.
Yeah,
if he could focus.
Yeah. And that's one of the fun things that's one of the things that they started out talking about when the CW universe finally brought the Flash and Green Arrow together. Yeah. Because one of the things that Oliver said to him, the first things ever, was Barry, you could search this entire compound before trouble even popped off. You can, if you just think ahead, you would be 10 times as effective as you are right now. But at this point, I can beat you because I can think 3 steps ahead of you. I don't care how fast you move. If I can outthink you, I can beat you.
Yep.
So I've got 2 here. I got 1 Marvel, 1 DC.
Ooh.
So for my DC, I'm gonna go with the classic pairing from the cartoon show that I'd love to see in live action, which would be Green Lantern, which for me would be Jon Stewart because he's my Green Lantern, and Wally West Flash.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the two of them always had some fun back and forth banter, and I just would love to see it on big screen. It'd be fun. The one I really want to see though from Marvel, because I feel like they are going to enter an era where they have to start doing these team ups because that's going to keep things fresh and interesting.
Yep.
Spider-Man can go with about any character.
Yes.
He can be with Wolverine, he can be with Deadpool, he can be with Iron Man. We've seen that already.
Yep.
The one that everyone seems to go to, and I can agree with it, is Daredevil.
Oh, yes.
You've got
the Kingpin.
You got your younger, fun, serious character. You got your young, fun, jokey character who was helping make things better with his powers. You got the older, more grizzled, more serious character. Both of them flying through the skylines of New York. Both of them fighting Kingpin. That is.
They did this in the animated series, bro.
Tom Holland and Charlie Cox. Oh, please! I would eat that up. I would eat that up. 100%.
Yeah.
The grizzled blind lawyer.
It was awesome.
It was a very good 2-parter, I think is what it was.
Yep, it was. I have it on DVD actually. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
God,
that's a good one. I like that.
So far ahead of its time.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. They did a lot of great Spider-Man stories on that show. So.
Oh yeah. Season 5 got weird, but it was really good up to.
Yeah, it got kind of weird, but a lot of they did Venom properly, and I mean we could talk about that show at a different time.
Oh yeah.
But
maybe when we get to Far From Home, we'll bring that up again.
Ooh, there we go. Talk about Mysterio. I like it.
Mysterio.
Yes, I'm amped. I'm sure Ryan is. I know he loves his magic.
All right. And then my last question before we get to the comparison piece. Would Robin have had any place in this film? Even if you added another 15 minutes just for funsies. Because it's not very long. So 15 isn't a huge ask. Would adding Robin take away from this? Would it be additive to it? Would you have left him out? What would you do?
Would you have to add, I don't know, Supergirl or something?
That's kind of the thing.
I feel because I
side, if anybody.
My side, yeah.
Right, they did an interesting thing where they had Joker and Lex, and then they had their henchwoman of choice next to them that got to like scrap and do stuff like that.
Yeah, Mercy or
Mercy.
Quinn.
Yep. So having a similar dynamic with Batman and Superman, I could see it working, but I feel like it would take away from like the depth of seeing Batman and Superman's characters like really interact. And I don't know how good Superman would have reacted to Batman at first if he's just like, wait, I'm sorry, are you bringing a kid to a gunfight? What's happening here?
This is very true.
Well,
yeah, I think it would have distracted from the character arcs that they had in this. Because we, like you said, Ryan, we got such a good amount of depth to both of them throughout this three-parter that I think Robin just would have convoluted that kind of.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, yeah.
Keep it simple. Just keep it simple.
Keep it simple, yeah, like you said, Aaron.
And thinking about it, too, there's a lot of good back and forth between Batman and Superman. And when you go to the main series of Batman, there's a lot of good back and forth between Batman and Robin. And the problem I could see happening from this is the problem I would have, like, say, if I brought Ryan to a party with me. If I were going to a party to meet people, like Batman goes to meet Superman, I could have fun banter with some people. But if I go with Ryan, and, you know, Ryan, you're a friend of mine. I love talking to you. I would probably spend more of the party talking to Ryan. I wouldn't get any fun banter with any new people. And I feel like you might have that same issue if you had Robin here. He would be going back and forth with Robin, and Superman would just be kind of like, oh, hey guys, I'm here. And they're like, shut up, Superman. We don't care.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, like
I guess
one of them would probably become the third wheel really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in a way, they had their side characters because, like, Alfred was featured here a little bit, and you could consider Lois Lane, even though she was on both sides, as a side character. I guess Superman interacted with the police chief with the crazy eyebrows. Yeah, it's like you get good.
Officer Crazy Brows.
Yeah, well, you get used to Commissioner Gordon, and then you have this psycho with his brows all over the place.
He's just one day away from retirement.
Oh man!
God, I'm sorry. I know this is off topic, but when Batman is first introduced into the story, and you've got Commissioner Gordon and that other guy who just hates Batman, and he's like, he's just I'm gonna take this and have a closer look at it. He's like, wait, he can't just leave an active crime scene with evidence, and Commissioner Gordon's like, you want to stop him?
Stop
Be
him?
my
Yeah.
guest. Just like,
God, I want to go back and watch the 90s show now. That cartoon was so good.
Gordon.
God, what's that guy's name? It's
Detective Bullock.
Yeah, it's Harvey Bullock.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's the man on that show. He's always pissed at Batman.
He's the character I hated when I was a kid, but then I grew up to really love his character so much.
I love him. Like, if Aaron, if you ever get time and you get to rewatch the whole series, all the one-liners that Harvey Bullock has referring to Batman, he's just like, what the hell does he think he's doing? He's, walking in here.
He's gold, man. He's probably he's like J. Jonah Jameson, but not
he injects the reality to it. He keeps you from getting too enamored with the heroes. He's like, wait, no, seriously, this is an active crime scene. He just walked out with evidence, guys. That's bad.
That's bad, yeah.
Well, yeah, Brian. Like I said, he's Batman's J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah.
God, for sure. Yeah. God, I love JJ. Yeah.
I could talk all day about JJ. He's probably one of my favorite characters ever made. he is my Shaggy, if you know what I mean. Okay. Before we go on too much longer, we should probably advise people that if they wanted to submit their complaints about superheroes stealing evidence, Ryan, where can they go to send that in email?
That is, please don't leave an active crime scene with evidence at Gmail. Sorry. That is evacstation@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah, evacstation@gmail.com. And you can also go to Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter to comment on our stuff. And you go to patreon.com/evacstation to kick a few dollars our way and help support our show. Gentlemen, we're at the final moment here to compare these two films, and I think we all know where we land because we've been waxing poetically towards this film after horridly bashing with wiffle bats the other film. Where do we stand on this film? Let's get an official confirmation.
I think Dawn of Justice was a superb movie. I'm sorry, who the hell? That was my doppelganger, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think it goes back to simplicity. I think Dawn of Justice tried to do the work of 5 films in one, and it strongly suffered for it. Whereas in World's Finest, you got a nice simple storyline and allowed the characters to actually exist and interact, and you got the essence of what a Batman versus Superman movie actually is. It's not just them fighting each other, it's their philosophies coming into contact, and really after the initial clash they come to really enjoy and respect each other. Hands down, World's Finest did it better.
Yeah, this is what Dawn of Justice should have been. And if you think about it, you had 4 of the most popular characters in DC history. Probably the 2 most popular villains and 2 of the most popular heroes in a movie that was simple, straight to the point, and just had a great story. So I wish they would do a live action version of this because I think it'd be great.
Here.
Yeah.
I would say that while this film lacks the Jesus references I need to remind myself I'm a good Christian boy, I think that this film has one thing the live action does not have that sets it apart miles above, even if you don't compare the other bits and pieces. And that's Mark Hamill. Like, let's be fair here. He sells the shit out of his Joker role, and Joker himself
every time
brings a joy to this that BVS does not have at all.
But there's no cross symbology, man. He didn't float away with his arms out. Like, come on.
I know. If Joker had floated away in that explosion with the cross, I would have praised this movie so hard.
Now, if Joker is Jesus, then I'll buy it. Then I'll buy that.
Well, I mean, that's what the J stands for. Jesus, Joker. I mean, it's symbolic.
Oh, man.
Joker Christ. I'm sorry. This is horrible.
But no. In all seriousness, the animated version is what I grew up with, and while it might be nostalgia talking, yes, it lacks the metaphor, the depth, and the allegorical BS that BVS tried to go for. The simple fact of the matter is that all those things, all the deeper metaphorical writing trick stuff that you could try to do with a bigger budget, bigger film, you can only do those if the core premise and the core story is good, if it holds up on its own. The other stuff you add in when that main part works on its own. This could have been expanded to do more stuff, but it didn't need to. Batman vs. Superman needed to trim a lot of shit down before it was even close to this good, and it still wouldn't be on the same level as this.
No.
Hands down. Yep. Mm-hmm. You said it, sir.
So, these are some long podcasts back-to-back in the same week, so we hope you guys enjoyed them. This actually went on longer than the actual episodes themselves that we just watched, so... But, thank you for listening. Robbie, thank you for joining us once again for the BVS cast week. I know you've been wanting to do this one for a while, and I'm excited we got John for it.
Yeah, man. You know my love for Batman, and unfortunately he had to be in a movie that sucked, but thankfully I got to rewatch this and get my joy back from Batman. So
indeed,
thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure, guys. I love doing 100%, this with you too.
100%. So you are welcome back anytime.
And we'll be sure to have you back on very soon for our return to the Justice League.
Yes.
Oh boy.
It's gonna be bad, but fun.
And Robbie, if they wanted to find you on the internet, where could people find you at?
Oh, well, I am a co-host of Welcome to the Dog Pound. It's spelled DAWGPOUND. You can find us on Google Play, iTunes, as well as we're on Podbean. And yeah, check us out. We do sports, history. We haven't done any comic book stuff. I'm hoping to dig into that this year and maybe have you guys jump on with me sometime. So.
Hey!
Oh, hell yeah. I'll bring my Joker voice. I'll rehearse it a bit more.
Oh, yeah. You need to work on it. You did pretty good, though. I'm very proud of you.
It's good for off the cuff.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, well, definitely check that out, everybody. And again, also Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter for all of our stuffs. And yeah, we'll see you next week because I think Ryan, we're gonna step up up a little bit with a slightly better movie with the Suicide Squad.
Slightly better.
It's like a step up a large staircase. We have a lot of stairs to go, but we're up one step.
It is. I can't wait to talk more about that one and to see Margot Robbie.
Yep, Margot Robbie, Will Smith, Killer Croc. He was alright.
Killer Croc, Jesus Christ.
I can't wait to hear your
thanks for
guys'
listening,
take on
everybody.
Killer Croc.
Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.